G'day and welcome back to the channel. Now, you may not be able to see this by looking at me, but I am furious. I'm angry beyond belief. I am incensed. I'm outraged. This is my outraged face. Why am I outraged? Well, it's basically down to two words: CAA and Karen. Now, it's not a complaint about me, but it is a complaint. And I'm going to fill you in on the backstory. Now, this was related to me yesterday. I got a call from the two 14-year-old boys that came down to Tokoroa and flew their model aircraft here at the airfield a few months ago. I got a text message and they told me, or one of them told me, they're being investigated by CAA for that flight. So let's take a look at what happened on that day, on a misty, cold, wet winter's day when two young lads, 14-year-old lads, decided to come down from Auckland and test fly their model aircraft at the Tokoroa airfield. As you can see in this video, which is one of the videos I posted to YouTube, the weather conditions were appalling. There were not going to be any manned aircraft at the airfield on this day. The mist and fog was down to ground level, so there'd be no VFR, visual flight rules, flying. It would have been illegal to do so. And because our airfield doesn't have an ILS, there would be no IFR approaches or landings either. So this was probably the safest conditions in which to fly these models. And the boys had said they wanted to come down to Tokoroa and fly because they didn't feel it was safe to fly these large models in Auckland, the biggest city in New Zealand. There's not a lot of areas. They could have gone to parks, but they felt it would be safer to come down to Tokoroa where there's far more space and no people around, which was a really commendable perspective by them because it did involve a 3-hour journey by car on a winter's day and 3 hours back again. So I was really impressed that they took the initiative to say, can we come and fly at Tokoroa airfield? And I welcomed them with open arms. And the first thing I did when they arrived was I explained to them the civil aviation regulations relating to flying at airfields, because there are some specific regulations that apply to flights taken at or within 4 kilometres of an airfield or a helipad. I explained those to them. And I also went through the regulations laid down by the airfield operator, the local council, because they have another set of rules which say where you can fly and other bits and pieces. So we went through all that so they were fully aware of their responsibilities under the 2 rule sets that were in place. And we also looked at the possible risks. We did a risk analysis, things that could happen during the flight. What if an airplane came along? Unlikely as it was, what if an airplane appeared from nowhere and they were in the path of the airplane? We discussed options and we worked out strategies to deal with that. Also, what if one of them, or the airplane, stopped responding properly to commands, it wasn't controllable, what would we do then? All these things we discussed and came up with methods of addressing those risks and minimising those risks. So it was an excellent exercise in risk analysis and risk management. And I think they learned some stuff there and it was great. So we had a really, really safe environment. Had my radio, which was tuned to the local operating frequency, my aviation band radio, which was quiet all day because there were no aircraft flying. The conditions were not suitable for a manned aircraft flying, but we had it there, it was on my belt throughout the day, and if anything had called up, I could have immediately initiated one of the responses, which would have been to land the model and clear the runway, all that sort of stuff. So we took everything very, very seriously because the last thing I want to do as a promoter and a supporter of the hobby is to create a situation where someone gets injured or property gets damaged or even, heaven forbid, someone gets killed. So we were very serious about the management of risk. So it really, really did shock me to learn that someone had complained about these flights and that they were being investigated. And the thing that I liked about the situation was that I put the videos up on YouTube. The local media actually saw them and did a really positive piece on the hobby, featuring the airfield and these boys and their models and things. It was a real pro-hobby thing. It was great for the hobby. We need more of that. In the day where drones are seen as evil and the hobby is being vilified, this was exactly the opposite. It was a really positive piece for the hobby. It was fantastic. So all the boxes were ticked. But somebody, Karen probably, saw the video and thought, ooh, flying a model plane to an airfield, ooh, I can complain about that, and did. So that passes it on to CAA. Now, I've already spoken with CAA, spoke with Dean Winter, spoke with the investigators who investigated my cases, 2 of which are still to be resolved. And I said, why do you not have some triage on your complaints? Because obviously some of the complaints are frivolous. And as long as you have this policy of investigating every complaint, then your system is open to weaponization. Someone like a Karen who doesn't like me or someone else can consistently file bogus incident reports or complaints, and you will go through the process wasting your time, resources, money, energy to investigate each of those complaints, regardless of how credible it is and regardless of whether it's obvious right from the get-go that this is just stupid, as is the case with these boys and their flights at the Tokoroa airfield. But no, CAA advised me, and this was even Dean Winter, the executive I spoke to, no, we've got this, we have to investigate every case. And I pointed out to him, it's not acceptable to have that policy because it will be weaponized. It is being weaponized as we speak, and you guys don't have the resources to deal with or to fully investigate every case. It's ridiculous. I was assured, no, this was the way it was done and this was fine. So once the ball was dropped in CAA's court, they obviously have to investigate these cases. So does it sound reasonable? They went to these boys and accused them of flying at an airfield without an arrangement and flying without supervision of someone with wings? No. I say no because all it would have taken is one 30-second phone call. Mr. Simpson, yes, you were there on the day. Now, you were supervising these boys and you have wings? You do, okay? And there is still an arrangement in place with the airfield operator to fly models at the airfield? Yes, there is. Oh, thank you very much. Put that in the rubbish bin where it belongs. But no, the investigators couldn't do that. It appears that they don't learn anything because I was reported for this flight at the Tokoroa airfield and the same allegations were made against me, flying at an airfield without an arrangement with an operator. And I showed them that, look, the airfield is a designated flying area. It's even on the AIP entry. Look, this is the little dictionary encyclopedia of airfields in New Zealand. And from this, which any pilot or any member of the public and even CAA investigators can access online, you can see if there are any notes. And in the notes here it says models may be flown during daylight hours. And that's the official entry for this airfield, which pretty much kind of proves that there is an arrangement going on here, or it would not be published on the official airfield entry in the AIP. But CAA can't be bothered doing that, as they didn't in my case. They didn't bother doing it with my case, but they haven't done it this time either. Even though I proved there was an arrangement, they didn't bother learning from that. They, again, assumed there was no arrangement. And then I've got Model Flying New Zealand wings. I was accused of not having wings. They went, they checked with Model Flying New Zealand, who verified I'm a member in good standing. I have my wings, therefore I'm entitled to fly at an airfield. And so they are doing that again because I was there, but they're alleging that there was nobody supervising them with Model Flying New Zealand wings. I don't understand the inefficiencies here. There are massive inefficiencies. And if you are going to investigate every case, every complaint, and you're not going to do it efficiently, then you're not going to come out with the right results. And how do I know they don't have enough resource? Well, it's pretty simple. 2 months ago, I filed a request for the information surrounding my case, all the documentation, the correspondence, the memos, the notes relating to the inquiries or the investigations against me. I filed a request for that under the New Zealand Official Information Act, an act of Parliament which requires government departments to deliver a response within 20 days of such a request being filed. I filed the request. On the 20th day, CAA came back and said, we're way too busy. We didn't have the resources. We don't have the time. We're going to have to give ourselves an extra 20 working days to complete this request. So they admitted that they are just too busy. They don't have the resources. So why are they investigating groundless complaints? Why are they, in effect, bullying some 14-year-old boys by terrorising them with the spectre of being under investigation? I've been under investigation countless times. I know how that feels. And I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I'm tough. I've got my big boy pants on. I've been around the block a few times. 14-year-old kids, not quite the same thing. That's the spectre of having the state investigating them. That's a really big thing for a 14-year-old to have to, deal with. And they shouldn't have to deal with it because nobody made the 30-second phone call. Couldn't be bothered. Couldn't get off their backsides. And nobody bothered to check the official documentation for the airfield to see if it still had the little note on there saying it's a model flying area. Nobody can be bothered doing their job by the sound of it. If what I've been told is true, and I've got to say, I'm working from what I've been told, this is another disaster on the part of CAA, another disaster. And I predicted this when I said you must triage your complaints process or it will be weaponised and inefficiencies will result. Well, that's what's happened. We've got a couple of 14-year-old boys being terrorised by a government agency that can't be bothered doing their job properly and has policies that prohibit them from doing their job properly because they don't learn from previous cases, they don't do the basic groundwork before they start making allegations, and we get this ridiculous situation. That's why I'm not happy. Now, I have sent an email off to Dean Winter, the executive at CAA that I've been dealing with, and I've basically, please explain, and also expressing my concern and my outrage at this, that these boys have been hit with these allegations, baseless allegations that could have been dismissed within seconds if somebody at CAA was doing their job. And if we had this triage system where obviously baseless complaints can be dismissed without an investigation. But no. So I have accepted Mr. Winter. I want a phone call with him. I expect a phone call from him tomorrow on Monday, because that is also the last day that CAA has to present their response with their own self-granted extension to my Official Information Act request. If they do not provide that response, I will be taking it further. I'll be going to the Ombudsman and requesting that somebody is dealt with as a result of this. And it further strengthens my case that they don't have the resources to investigate every case. They don't have the resources to comply with acts of Parliament. So why are they bullying 14-year-old boys? I don't know. The other thing is that Mr. Winter promised me he would investigate the privacy issues surrounding my own investigations when CAA sent the warning letter to an unrelated third party. Warning letter that contained personal information. He was going to check up on that and get back to me. It's been a month. Even Mr. Winter is too busy to do what he promises. So, in that respect, how can they justify wasting all this time chasing up 14-year-old boys who did all the right things, showed a fantastic commitment to safety? I don't know. I can't explain this. Is it incompetence? Is it laziness? Is it arrogance? Someone needs to explain it to me, because if the facts are as they've been related to me, it is just unacceptable, totally unacceptable. And I will be taking the matter further, seriously. If I don't get satisfaction in my phone call with Mr. Winter tomorrow, if he just doesn't bother to ring me, I will be taking the matter a lot further, because it needs to be taken further. We have the civil aviation, the aviation regulator damaging our hobby, directly damaging our hobby. These kids, I don't know, they may be put off the hobby for life because they've done something exactly right and they've been accused of breaking the regulations as a result. That's not how you encourage people to participate in a hobby. It's not how you guarantee the future of aviation, is it? Someone needs to be held to account over this. They really do. That's why I'm angry. There you go. That's it. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. You make it possible for me to champion these things, because we do need to. Remember, for evil to prevail requires only that good men do nothing. And you know me, I'm not going to do nothing. Thanks for watching, guys. Spot you later. Lots to do. Bye for now.